And welcome into MIZ Central on the Lou Information Station. I'm Grant Salzman. He's Brendan Schaefer. And there is an opportunity tonight for the Missouri Tigers as they travel to College Station to take on the Texas Aggies. And that's one of, funny enough, Brendan Schaefer's favorite cities, favorite campuses to travel to in all the SEC.
Don't call it a city. That's not a. It doesn't. It's barely a town. It's a station, and it's as boring of a place as you'll ever hope to go. I'm serious. I wonder if their one restaurant will be open today or not.
Have you been to Fayetteville before?
Yeah. Oh, I like Fayetteville.
Fayetteville is better than
Fayetteville is miles better, and it's Fayetteville. The kind of main drag is small.
Yeah,
but it's there. There's plenty to do.
There's a main drag.
We spent a weekend in Fayetteville as a weekend trip, my wife and I, a number of years ago, and enjoyed ourselves. I did karaoke. I had a blast.
Yeah.
I can make fun of Arkansas for other things, but their little campus to, main entertainment district, I give them credit for that. It's no Columbia, Missouri.
No.
Nobody's topping that. But it's nice. I enjoyed Fayetteville. I don't have anything negative to say. The Airbnb we were supposed to stay in was problematic, but we found another one that all worked out. And so good on Fayetteville. College Station, you can't. I've been twice. Once for a Missouri basketball game, a win. Once for a Missouri football game, not a win.
A trouncing. So what's that?
Decidedly not a win. Ate at the same restaurant both times. Great place. I heard in the aftermath of my second visit, I saw this on Facebook. They almost were going to close it down.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, you can't. It's your only place that's ever. And I think they have other bars and restaurants. They're never open. Not when I'm there. I've been there on 2 Saturdays. All right. So it's not like I'm there on a Wednesday morning complaining about the lack of availability for places to eat and to congregate. But no, it's been the same place I've gone to both times. And it was a nice place. But it's like then you're walking, you're trying to get over to the campus, which is just, it's like, I love Mizzou's campus, but if we're honest, the pretty part of campus is red campus, right? And then the white campus is more, the newer buildings, and they don't quite have as much character.
I have never heard it described that way.
Really, red campus and white campus?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
But I know what you're talking about. The quad area is the beautiful part.
Yeah, and up that direction, there's more brick buildings, and it's just more of an aesthetic. At least the other part of campus has, the Tiger statue, and they've got a fountain, and they've got, the Stankowski fields, and there's some character to the campus. It just A&M's campus just looks like a prison. It just does, and so there's not anything to it. It's the ugliest campus I've ever seen, and they've got no kind of character nearby to go, congregate. So that's like the first time I went, I thought, okay, it was a Saturday. It might have even been Grant during break, where like winter break. So the students were probably gone and there wasn't much going on. I gave them a pass for that. But when I went back for a football Saturday and it was the same, I was like,
that's where it gets.
What are we doing? So anyway, I've made up my mind about College Station, Texas. Don't call it a city. That's my hot take.
I apologize. I have felt that way. I've been to Kentucky, Arkansas, and Vandy, and I've kind of felt the same way. It's like Vandy's campus was nice, but the other two, Kentucky and Arkansas, the campus was like so spread out. It was almost like you walked through it for a minute, and it was like, oh, that was campus. That's all it is. Like they were both. The layouts have been strange everywhere else I've gone, and maybe that's because I don't know it as well. But that's the feeling I've gotten from other spots.
Okay, yeah, I think Missouri has one of the best campuses. I haven't obviously been to all of them. Maybe this fall I get to a few more, but I can at least speak to the ones I've seen and have enjoyed Vandy.
Yeah,
have not enjoyed College Station either time that I've been there.
I didn't quite enjoy Vandy. I don't know if I'd call it an enjoyment.
Yeah. Well, I didn't enjoy the outcome
of
the game that I was there to see. But I've been to a couple games at Vanderbilt. I went to one a number of years ago that we were able to leave in the third quarter. It was like really cold and rainy, and we watched the rest of the game at a bar because we were up by so much at halftime.
That's pretty nice.
We went with the girlfriends or the wives. I can't remember if I was married yet, but it was like they didn't want to be there anymore. So we're like, let's go get warm. But the score was such that we were able to,
before Vandy was good.
The guys who cared about the score, we were like, we're safe.
Yeah,
we're good. We can leave here.
So we talked about on Monday what we thought the spread would be. I believe I said 6.5 to 7.5, and that's exactly what it is. It's 6.5 at -108, 7.5 at -128 right now, according to DraftKings. I like that spot for Mizzou. I think they're going to keep this close.
They might. They got to win it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard to ask as an underdog on the road, but I don't think A&M is like that much better than Mizzou. I think if you find a way to mitigate the road environment to an extent and just play your game, I think these are teams that are not all too dissimilar. I know that the metrics would tell you A&M is soundly better. They have good balance on Ken Palm. They're rated 42nd in offensive efficiency in the country and 40th in defensive efficiency. That's a very balanced team, but it's not like they're not overwhelming. They do play fast, and this year Mizzou has kind of slowed things down, and they play a much slower tempo, 229th in the country compared to 27th in pace for the Aggies. But 58th in offense, 70th in defense. Like, you could squint and say on the right day, Mizzou plays its B-plus game, A&M plays its C- game, and Mizzou could have an advantage there. I like that we're coming off of a road game that Mizzou played really well at South Carolina. Granted, that's the worst team in the conference, and I didn't see anything on Saturday to disprove that theory. Mizzou kind of had their way, and that it won't come as easily tonight. But it's better than, seeing them have to go on the road and maybe they struggle with a team that we know isn't nearly as good. And then they've got not a lot of confidence for what you can do in a road environment coming into tonight's game. But they played well, and they played a pretty complete 40 minutes.
And we talked about that, too, of playing that complete 40 minutes gives you confidence, and it kind of gives you the less pressure on this game, at least from an outside perspective. Obviously, if they win, the things that a win sets up, it lightens your load the rest of the year. You have a margin for error almost if you win this game. Obviously, a loss, I think it stays the same to where you're kind of still up in the air on being on that bubble. A win puts you, I think, firmly into the tournament with room to squeeze as well. But that's what they have to do. They have to find a way to go beat an A&M team that doesn't have a number next to their name right now, but they're pretty darn good. This is a good basketball team.
A&M is considered certainly to be in the tournament field by any bracketology measure. So, this is when you get wins over teams like that, especially on the road, you garner respect. And I think, Grant, it's like the narrative when this SEC is so crowded in the middle, and we've been operating for a number of weeks with kind of the general assumption of like, Texas is in, Georgia's in, like these teams. But then you play more games, and there are moments during a season where you being like the national media, the landscape, the bracketology folks kind of reassess, and you go, oh, wait a minute. All right, Missouri has won 3 in a row now.
Yeah.
They just got a road win over a team that we considered a 7 seed before today. Like, that would wake people up a little bit to Missouri, and that's kind of what they need because it's been very sleepy. Like, even their conference record is solid, but because of the way they started the season, there's not a lot of hype or attention on Missouri. I think they're in the first 4 out right now, according to Lenardi, which is that's a great spot to be because you have opportunity against some good teams coming up. I mean, you go A&M, Texas, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Tennessee. All those teams, I think, are considered to be in the tournament field. Texas might be on the cut line, but that's your next 5 games. And if you can scratch out 2 or 3 wins in that span, you're going to get some attention for that going into the final stretch of the season.
Yeah, A&M coming off back-to-back losses at Alabama. They lost 197, and then at home against Florida, they got, steamrolled. This
is the time to get them, maybe.
Yeah, they lost 86-67, but it was not a game. A&M made it look a little bit closer than it actually was.
Oh, it was not close. It was 59-29 at one point.
Yeah.
It was a 30-point game at one spot, I think, in the first half.
But
would you rather A&M be coming off a game like that or does that scare you a little bit to think that they're going to wake up after a butt whipping?
I'd rather see them come off a game like that because maybe it shows that there's some holes, maybe a couple guys lacking confidence, and just make sure you're not the team that they gain that confidence back again. I think anytime, especially coming off a loss before that, if it was just a blip in the radar, maybe I wouldn't like it, but I think that it could. We saw Vandy drop a couple in a row, I think 3 in a row. So maybe that's what this A&M team is in, is a little bit of pressure. Maybe they're feeling a little more tight in a close game that, hey, we've just lost our last 2. We really need this one, where Mizzou kind of has nothing to lose. And before that, they won 4 in a row at Texas, home against Miss State, home against South Carolina, and at Georgia.
7-3.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the 4 seed right now and getting that double bye. Of course, there's a whole mess at A&M at Vandy's at 7-4. You've got Alabama, Tennessee, and Missouri at 6-4. So, I mean, you win this, you're tied with the team that is currently the 4 seed in the conference tournament. So there's a lot of opportunity this week. The Longhorns are 6-5. Missouri hosting Texas on Saturday night. I mean, this is a huge week, and it starts tonight with being able to kind of discern whether the Tigers are in that conversation, rubbing shoulders with the teams like Kentucky, Arkansas, A&M, and Vanderbilt, or if they're more in the range of Texas, Georgia, Auburn when it comes to these conference standings. And the Texas, Georgia, Auburn contingent is kind of the teams that have to prove it to get into the tournament, whereas, the teams on the other side of that list are very much considered to be safe at this point in time.
Yeah, Missouri right now, according to CBS, CBS likes Mizzou. You're hoping that the people making
CBS's these days. Do we know?
Who
their bracketologist is?
This is no, it doesn't have a name attached to it, so I don't know.
Questionable. It used to be Jerry Palm,
That's
but I don't think
what
he's
I thought as well. But it has Mizzou. They have Mizzou in the first 4 right now, playing Santa Clara, and they bumped SLU down to 7. So right now they have Mizzou playing one of North Carolina or BYU in the first round. If they were to win, they have them in the first 4 with St. Mary's, Santa Clara, and TCU.
I would love to play TCU or like a Santa Clara. That would be interesting. Even a St. Mary's, they kind of scare me, but I think Mizzou could take Santa Clara.
I think
that can happen. I want to point something out, though. I know it's a Mizzou show.
Yeah.
Friday night, not this week, next week, hosting VCU.
Mm-hmm.
I will be in the building for SLU VCU.
You know what's funny, Mr. Schaefer?
You going to?
I think I'll be in the building as well.
Are you doing a little pressy?
No, I think I'm going to go as a fan.
Go as a fan?
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
I think I'll be there as a fan. And hey, you should be cheering for SLU if you're a Mizzou fan in that game, because they have VCU, CBS does, as first 4 out. They're right on the bubble as well. So maybe if SLU beats VCU, they'll drop a little bit as well, lose a quad.
It would be a big
opportunity.
It would be a big win for VCU to get it on the road as a 1-1 win. So that would help their resume for sure. Yeah. VCU is in the next 4 out on ESPN.
Yeah.
I kind of trust Lenardi more than nameless faceless CBS person, but it's all interesting to look at.
Where do they have Mizzou? First 4 out?
Mizzou is the second team out of the cut right now. Ohio State is first, and I don't know if they list those in order, but yeah, Mizzou is in the first 4 out.
Yes, that's what Lenardi said. He has Mizzou as his 70th team right now.
The second team.
Yeah.
Ohio State is 69th, and then above them is... I just don't freaking understand, Grant, how it keeps happening year after year after year that people care about the Mountain West, and soon it's going to dissolve, so that's good.
Yeah.
New Mexico and San Diego State getting some love as the 2 last teams in the field. Miami got a big win last night over North Carolina. I don't know if this is updated since that game.
No, I believe his is updated on Monday mornings.
So that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, he updated this yesterday. Or Tuesday morning, it looks like, according to 210 at 10 a.m. Eastern. Miami got a big win last night over a North Carolina team, so they're not going to be near the cut line on the next update. Texas is as the last 4 in. Missouri, obviously, hosting them on Saturday. That's a must-win game. Regardless of what happens tonight, you got to get Texas, because there's going to come a moment in that committee room, potentially, where they're looking at Texas and Missouri, and you want to be able to say you have that head-to-head over them. and not give them the ammunition to say we've got the head-to-head. Not only that, but it was at their place. That might be a tough thing to overcome if it's down to two teams from the same conference. Georgia right now is in the last 4 byes, so they're avoiding Dayton. I don't really get that, and it just makes me sick that Mizzou did not get the win over Georgia. I think that could be, if you fall short, like if Mizzou gets close but falls short, I think that's maybe the one you look at and you go, oh, if you could have just, closed that game out, you'd be talking about a completely different situation. But, Sean Phillips couldn't guard a guy who's 5'10". And the rest is history.
Yeah, it hurts. It's just so frustrating because that game was Missouri had every chance to put that game to bed, and they didn't do it.
We would be absolutely in the field without question, according to just about any metric, if you could flip that result. I'm convinced that Georgia would not have the same credit to be in the last 4 byes. Missouri would at least be last 4 in, and maybe even higher trajectory than that, because you'd be 7-3. You have the same record as A&M going into tonight's game if you were to win that Georgia game that you lost by 2.
That or Ole Miss, you'd be in.
Yeah, but Ole Miss, they lost by, free throws at the end kind of lengthened it out. That throughout the game felt like a game that they should have won. The one that stings the most for me is definitely Georgia. Second most is Notre Dame, just because they similarly had that the entire way. It just felt like a game they had control over, even as it was close, and they just peed down their legs at the end. I know that's not a conference, but just how winnable it was. Ole Miss stings because Ole Miss isn't very good. LSU stings because LSU isn't very good, but they didn't play very well against LSU. That was probably their most disappointing performance of the season, to my measure.
Without a doubt. And I think still, though, what's important to know is that Missouri isn't really in a situation where they need to. I know I said, SLU, we should cheer for SLU against VCU. They're not really in a situation where they need help right now. Like
you've got plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, their destiny is still in their own hands. I believe that. I don't think there's really any world if they somehow go 11-7 that they don't get in. Yeah,
a lot of time left, and like you said, 11-7, it would still be 3 more losses.
Yeah,
the teams that they play on their schedule starting tonight are such that it would be very impressive to even just go 500 the rest of the way. And if you do that, that's 10-8. And I do believe the closer they march toward that cut line right now, I think the decisive win over Carolina was important, because even though they're not a good team, that kind of raised some eyebrows to say, okay, let's pay attention to Missouri coming up. And now's your chance. If you can rattle off 3 of the next 5, I'm gonna make that the
goal
line there. Yeah, because A&M, Texas is at home. Vanderbilt's at home. Vanderbilt is so gettable compared to what we would have thought at the start of conference play.
Without a doubt.
Arkansas is probably your toughest remaining game. Hosting Tennessee is maybe the next toughest remaining game. But if you can, and that's the thing, of the next 5, the 2 of the more gettable games are this week. But if you can go 3-2 in that stretch, that gets you to 9-6. And then you've got a little bit of wiggle room to get to 10-8.
Yeah.
And you got to pick off at least one of those road teams, Miss State and Oklahoma, and that gets you to 10. And maybe you set up the opportunity to get to 11 against Arkansas to end the season. 10-8, I do think would get them in. I am not positive about that, but I think it would. It could very well be in Dayton, though. I think an SEC tournament, which could end up being a really fun tournament this year, because it does feel
wide
open,
a lot
more wide open. So I do think you want to get to 10 and then give yourself a chance to turn some heads in Nashville.
Do you think 11 with a loss in Nashville gets them in?
Yes, absolutely. Like they're 11-7, but they lose their first tournament game. Yeah, because I think 11-7 would be, you're not playing in that opening night. I don't think.
Yes,
right. You're probably ranked 5 through 8.
Probably
to be able to.
Right now they're 5th.
Yeah. So I think 11-7 would get them in the top 8, to where you're not playing, South Carolina on the opening Wednesday to then feel like you've screwed it up by losing a bad. There are not going to be very many bad losses that take place in Nashville, but if there are any, they'll probably happen on night 1.
Yeah.
And so if you're not playing on that day, then you're probably okay to avoid any major negative movement when it comes to the way that you'll be viewed by the committee from those games.
And it is funny to look at, we're talking about them just sneaking in, but all of a sudden, if you win this game today, I think, and it would depend on some tiebreakers and who all wins, you're tied for 4th place in the SEC in a double bye. Like, that is where Missouri's at. They're kind of right at that teetering point. And tonight feels like the game that will decide that. If they win, all of a sudden you're pushing, oh, wow, this team could get a double bye in the SEC. This team could, get an automatic bid, not even have to go to Dayton. And if they lose, you're back to fighting right on that bubble. Need a big result, need to be almost perfect the rest of the way. It's definitely kind of the inflection point, I would say, of Missouri's season.
That's a great word for it. And I'm not, as we talk about this game, I'm not overly confident that they're going to win it.
No,
they're 6.5 point underdog for a reason. But if they did it, suddenly I think the way that they're viewed in light of that poor non-conference schedule and their performance during that schedule, it kind of goes away, where it's like, oh, you know what? This is now definitive enough that we know Missouri is pretty good, and this is more who they are rather than who they were in December. You'll get a lot of credit for it because it'll all start to come together rather than being kind of in the middle and saying, well, yeah, they're better with Trent Pierce and Jaden Stone returning, but are they really that good of a team? They still played pretty poorly without them, and what does it look like? I think you can write a real new narrative for Mizzou to get them talked about on, because people will be looking at the standings going, wait a minute, Missouri's tied for 4th? How did that? You can start to separate a little bit with a win like this. And then, of course, we did say it gives you more margin for error. I don't think that applies to the very next game, though. I still think Texas is as important of a game as you'll play. That's their biggest game remaining, because I think you can lose this one tonight
and beat Texas.
Some others. Yeah, you can lose this one, and let's say you lose Vanderbilt and you lose at Arkansas. You win Texas, and then you set up a chance to win Tennessee, and you're still okay.
Yeah.
2-3 in this 5-game stretch doesn't kill you. It just forces you to then have to win probably both of those road games against Mississippi State and Oklahoma later on. And the Oklahoma one's going to be tough.
Yes.
But Texas is the one that I feel like you got to have. Otherwise, I'm not really looking or expecting you to beat Vandy or expecting you to beat Tennessee at home. Even though those are home games, if you're not going to handle Texas, I'm skeptical of kind of the basket you'll fall into when it's all said and done.
You got to get some momentum building into that Texas game. Even if that's in a losing effort today, a good performance, I think, tonight would go a long way in trying to build some of that going forward.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I don't want to see them lay an egg, because they're back to questioning really who they are.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. The last week didn't suddenly convince me that they're anything more than what we thought they were, but they did the minimum to make me still be bought in heading into tonight.
I agree with you there. Let's go to a quick break, come back, give you some more keys to the game tonight. Who needs to perform if Missouri is going to pull the upset on the road, and talk a little bit of the controversy going on with the football stadium and some of the naming rights situation there. This is MIZ Central on the Lou Information Station. We'll be right back.
Hot Take Central 2.0.
Now to sports fans. No, it's really getting out of hand, man. It's going way out of control.
With Cam Jansen.
I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks.
And Jimmy the Cat Hayes.
You're a legend in the city, living by day instead of night.
Weekday mornings from 8 to 10.
Hell yeah.
Only on the Lou Information Station. Streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. Hot Take Central 2.0.
This whole situation is getting out of control.
All right, Cam, be honest. New Year's resolution still holding strong?
Not so much, Kat. But I did decide on one thing that I'm sticking with. Making home life better in 2026.
And that's a good one. And if better includes more fun, more time outside, and less stress, then you need to talk to Merrimack Pools and Outdoors.
Absolutely. They build backyard escapes, pools, patios, outdoor kitchens, the kind of place everyone actually wants to hang out.
And now's the perfect time to plan. Don't wait until summer hits. Start now, get it designed right, and be ready when the warm weather shows up.
Merrimack Pools and Outdoors walks you through the whole process, from design to construction, and they do it the right way.
So if your New Year's goal is fewer trips, fewer crowds, and more memories at home, go to SplashSTL.com.
That's SplashSTL.com and make this year the year your backyard finally wins. That's SplashSTL.com.
LouInfo.com news headlines. Brought to you by Brown and Crouppen, 222-2222.
With your LouInfo.com news, I'm Jared Cirillo. An investigation is launched after a fire at an abandoned St. Louis bus terminal that left one person dead. Officials said a body was found at the old Greyhound terminal in the 1400 block of North 13th Street. The terminal went up in flames late Tuesday. The search continues for a man who shot and killed a woman at a Starbucks drive-thru. St. Louis police said the woman was fatally shot in the 2300 block of South Grand Boulevard Tuesday morning. The suspect was reportedly wearing a lime green vest and a hard hat. And the chancellor of the University of Missouri St. Louis is planning to step down later this year. Dr. Kristen Sobolik has announced that she will leave her post on July 1st after 5 years leading the university. Sobolik said UMSL is in a position of real strength to move forward. Your Lou Information Station is streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. I'm Jared Cirillo.
Now, LouInfo.com weather. Presented by Home Bank. Member FDIC. Secure your financial future by opening a high-yield checking account today. Go to myhomebank.bank to get started.
Here's your LouInfo.com weather update. We're headed for about 50 on the afternoon high. Looks like a pretty nice day. High pressure is parked over our area, so it should stay sunny. We're in the mid-30s with a few clouds overnight, and then about 50 for the high on Thursday. It looks like we'll have a cloudy day as low pressure passes north of us. Then we get back to sunshine on Friday, mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton for the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com and the free Info app.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision. It should not be based solely on advertisements.
Not sure how to get a lawyer after an accident? Call Brown and Crouppen. We'll walk you through it. Worried it'll cost too much? Here's a fact. At Brown and Crouppen, you pay nothing up front, and we never get paid unless you do. When you're our client, you'll have all your questions answered, all for free. Hurt? Get the facts and help you need. Call Brown and Crouppen now.
Fast Track Auto Transport has been a trusted leader in vehicle shipping for over 25 years, providing reliable, affordable service across the U.S. Fast Track offers fast and safe transportation solutions for individuals, dealerships, fleets, and businesses of all sizes. The Fast Track team prides itself on honest communication, competitive pricing, and real-time tracking, which gives our customers peace of mind from pickup to delivery. Whether you're shipping a single car or managing a large fleet, Fast Track delivers a smooth, hassle-free experience every time. Come see why Fast Track Auto Transport has been St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs for over 25 years. The trusted way, the safe way, the Fast Track way. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004.
L&R Tree Removal and Landscaping LLC is on the air, reminding all drivers to slow down on our roadways, watch out for kids at play, never text or drink and drive, and always buckle up. This safety reminder is brought to you courtesy of L&R Tree Removal and Landscaping LLC. For the very best in residential and commercial tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and landscaping, visit them on Facebook or call today at 636-439-9464. 636-439-9464. That's Scott and the family at L&R Tree Removal and Landscaping LLC, going the extra mile for safety.
And we are back here on the Lou Information Station. I want to talk a little bit about Texas A&M, but first, Brendan, I want to get your thoughts on not quite Mizzou, but Mizzou adjacent. Charles Bediako of Alabama, who Missouri played against and lost to, has now been denied playing any more NCAA basketball games. I believe
poor fella.
5 games he got to play, and Bama went, I think, 2-3 in those, 3-2. And one of those victories was over Mizzou. Do you think there's any world where that game gets voided, that it doesn't occur? Not that Bama gets a loss, not that Mizzou gets a win, just a complete void?
No, it'll be the same. I don't think anything's really going to come of it. And it's annoying because I feel like that shouldn't have been allowed to happen. We all kind of said that at the time, everybody except for Dennis Gates,
Yeah,
because he always says the wrong thing somehow. But I just don't think it. And look, Auburn might have a case to be a little peeved because they lost by 4 to him. Mizzou got smashed in that Alabama game. It wouldn't have made a difference. So, no, I'm not really too aggrieved by it, and I don't think anything will change.
No, I don't think there will be anything. I'm not. Missouri had no business of being in that game. They never were in the game. I think Bama might have beaten them with 4 guys on the court. So you take Bediako off, Missouri probably still loses that basketball game.
Yep.
Let's talk about A&M and who we need to see step up for Mizzou. And I'll give my name. This Rayshon Agee guy, I hope I'm saying that right, 14 points, 9 rebounds a game. This is Sean Phillips' game to prove why he's on this roster. He needs to step up defensively. I don't care. This is one of those games, he can have 0 points on offense, get 8 boards, and shut down A&M's best player, and that's worth it. I don't need him dominating inside offensively. Save your defense on the or save your energy for the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. You're talking about a 6'7" forward, so I think there will be other guys that have to be involved, and like Mark Mitchell, is certainly a size advantage over this guy if he can get involved on the defensive end as well. This is the guy who hits some threes, though, or at least he takes some. He went over 5 in his last game from 3 when A&M really struggled, but he'll throw up 4 to 5 or 6 a game over his recent stretch. Can probably beat you in a number of ways. He's been really good at the line too, so you don't want to foul him and give him any chances to score with the clock stop. So yeah, he'll be a menace. And for Phillips, it's like, don't let him be out rebounding you in situations where y'all are going for the same board at his size. That's a guy that you want to be able to kind of neutralize when it comes to rebound.
And I think offensively, it's the same deal.
It's the same deal.
It need T.O. Mark and Stone to step up, and if they could get anything out of Cruz, a couple threes, or Anthony Robinson, that would be great. But I think we'll see the smallest rotation of the season once again. 7 guys is probably all Mizzou and Dennis Gates is hoping to play, but nothing will change for this team unless Jacob Cruz catches fire, which I still think will happen in a game. Like, I will not be shocked if Cruz hits 5 threes in a game, but it won't happen consistently.
No, I don't think you can count on that consistently. And I don't really think it's as much of a key. Like, I think the way they played against South Carolina was great. I just think you have to realize it's not going to come that easy against a better opponent, but the core 4, as I'm calling it, all played 32 plus minutes. And I think those are the guys that you're going to need to lean on. And will that be something that they're as effective at doing in light of it not being a game where you just had a full week to prepare and a full week to rest? That was a good scenario coming into the South Carolina game. And we've seen this team, I think it was similar coming into the Florida game where they had a lot of extra time and they played well in that game. Not having that when you're playing such a thinner rotation is going to be interesting to see what the effects of that are, but hopefully they're able to figure something out with that.
Yeah. All right. Do you have a score prediction for this one in College Station?
158 is the over-under.
Yeah.
I think it's a game where A&M's offensive abilities are shown. Maybe it's a little bit, Mizzou's able to impact the pace a little bit to slow things down, but I'm going to say A&M 79, Mizzou 73. I'll call it like a slight cover, but I feel like they're going to fall a little bit short in this game on the offensive end.
I heard
the first game where they actually do score 72 or more and lose. That's going to be my hot take for that.
I heard a number at the end forming, and it was almost my exact score prediction. You almost said 79-74. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think Mizzou covers. I think they fall at the end 79-74 to the Aggies. And again, we'll move on to Texas, and that will be the biggest game of the season on Saturday. But that game will happen before we talk to you again. But I think on Monday, Brendan, if we come in and Mizzou went 1-1, it's positive. Even if
We're
like,
okay.
and I don't see this situation happening as much, but even if they beat A&M tonight and lose to Texas on Saturday, I think we'll be bummed because the opportunity got away. But I still think we'll come in saying, okay, 1-1 is just a fine week. 1-1 all the way through probably gets you in to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think so because it gets you to 10-8, and I do think that ends up being enough unless you lay a real egg in Nashville.
All right, there is some controversy. There's some news breaking. That this is from Joey Van Zimmerman. Mizzou is looking to sell naming rights to Memorial Stadium per release. Memorial will be removed from the name if a partnership is secured and from Laird Beach in the release. This is another incredible opportunity to position Mizzou athletics for the future. And Tom Hart, proud Missouri alum, retweeted and said, for the record, Memorial Stadium was dedicated and named for the 112 University of Missouri students and alumni who died fighting for our country in World War I. So I'm confused by the situation a little bit.
Okay, what are you confused
because getting the naming rights is great. Getting someone to sponsor your stadium is fine. But why does Memorial have to be removed? That's what I don't understand. Bush Memorial Stadium was a stadium that was sponsored, well, Bush, little owned by the Bushes, but I guess in theory that was the sponsor title. If Walmart, let's say Stan Kroenke, the Waltons wanted to buy the naming rights, why could it not be Walton Memorial Stadium at Faurot Field? Like, I don't see the need to take Memorial off of this stadium.
Okay. So the Walton part would be different because it's like a family name.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have that like tackiness.
That's true.
Of, like Walmart Stadium. Like sometimes you hear a brand that has a naming rights deal and you're like, it feels different than if it were something else. I'll give you an example. Heinz Field, you're a Steelers fan for years, and now it's Acrisure Stadium, and you're like, that just kind of doesn't really roll off the tongue. Now, part of it is because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Like it is kind of a goofy concept to become attached emotionally to branded stadium names when it's like, it's just a brand in and of itself. Like Miller Park for the Milwaukee Brewers. It just always felt like it was right. But then they change it to like American Family Field or whatever it changed to. I'm like, well, that doesn't feel like it makes any sense. I think if you go into it saying we're gonna come up with another way to honor the memorial aspect from that name and why the reasoning behind it, it kind of frees you up to not have to worry about how it sounds with whatever sponsor you put next to it. Because at Walmart Memorial Stadium, are you memorializing Walmart?
That's a good
what
point.
Would be the thought process behind that? I think you have to be a little bit careful about it sounding tacky and coming off in the wrong way. So I think that's the logic behind it. And I'm, to be honest, completely fine with it. I don't even think it's a controversy. I think I understand why people might be upset. People are. I was almost surprised to see Tom Hart's tweet, which is like, it's not like he wasn't really editorializing. Maybe he feels a certain way about it, but he was just making sure it was out there that like, this is why they said Memorial. So take that off. It does, mean something. And I think it is important for Mizzou to make sure they go about it the right way. And in the press release, they talked about there will be creative ways that they're going to still kind of honor that legacy. And I think that's an important thing to do, whether that's a physical memorial at the stadium, a statue, whatever it is that they're going to do, I think is important to, from the PR standpoint, make sure you don't just kind of say, yeah, it's a cash grab, which it is, but it's a necessary one. But you just don't want it to be coming off as a cash grab that you're foregoing all, the sentimentality surrounding something that is meaningful to a lot of people and the veterans and things like that. So that would be why I think it's maybe they're doing it that way, is because you don't know what the sponsor is going to be going into trying to secure corporate sponsorship for naming rights. If it sounds weird with Memorial next to it, that you don't want that.
I will say it's kind of interesting. This year will be the 100th anniversary of Memorial Stadium, Faurot Field, whatever you want to call it. And the timing of it is just a little interesting this is when they decide to change the name of the stadium.
And by the way, when we refer to it, we more often say Faurot Field.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, have you ever called it Memorial Stadium? If someone was like,
Faroe Field at Memorial Stadium. Like that's the full
Yeah.
name.
I always call it Faroe Field.
And it's kind of the same thing with the Chiefs now. It's technically GEHA Field at Arrowhead. We just still call it Arrowhead.
Yeah.
That's the opposite. But like Faroe is just, what's always sounded best. And so it's a change in name only. You could make the argument that because people don't, when you mention Bush Memorial Stadium, people just call it Bush Stadium.
Yeah.
So you could just kind of put it there and just know that people aren't going to really call it that.
People are still going to call it Faroe Field, even if it's
correct.
Walmart Stadium. It's
I
going to
think
be
that
called
is
Faroe Field.
Correct. Faroe Field's that's not going anywhere. For
No.
people who are going, oh my gosh, they're changing Faroe Field to Walmart Stadium, which by the way, Kroenke's not going to buy the naming rights.
No,
anyway,
I'm just.
But as an example.
Yeah.
I think that like Faroe's still staying, that part's remaining. So I don't think there's any issues here.
Yeah. And it will always be Faroe Field. That's never going to change. Something I'm curious about is like, what makes sense? Like I was seeing the memes like El Rancho Stadium or Shakespeare Stadium. Like obviously those Columbia businesses don't have the financial backing to have the naming rights. But what company would make sense? Is there anything you can think of like a Missouri based, like honestly, other than Budweiser or Busch, like I don't know of one that I could think of that really would fit the Columbia area.
I mean, you would start with what are the big time sponsors already in the stadium? I mean, that would be the obvious places that I think that the deputy athletic director, I believe his name is Eric Morrison, is going to be leading the charge on this. And they've got a firm that they've hired and all that will be sort of the right deal. Like Equipment Share is an organization that's, you hear a lot about. Veterans United is a big company in
Shelter
Columbia,
Insurance,
like, big presence there. What'd you say?
Shelter Insurance.
Yeah, there's a number of insurance relationships.
Yep.
Shelter, I think, is one. So like the usual suspects. It'll be curious to see if it ends up being kind of one of those. MPix, the photography company. We've got the name on the basketball court. Like there's a lot of directions that they could go to this. I think in an ideal world, like not that all those corporate sponsorships aren't great, but in an ideal world, you land a more regionally high dollar kind of company that has a big reach. Because like if you go in with one of those companies that are owned by someone locally and they've got a ton of cash and like that's great. And that's awesome to be kind of supporting the community and the community supporting what Missouri football is doing by pouring that in. But it almost feels like the company will get a better deal almost than if it's like something new. But also it's like, if it's something new, why wouldn't that company have been involved pre-existing in a smaller capacity when it comes to sponsorship? So like, I think you got to be realistic of saying you're going to look to go to those companies first, but would they have the deep pockets that lands you the type of deal that you're looking at? Or if they do, is it an individual that owns a company like that already would have been supporting in a major way? And so you're not really opening up as many new opportunities with it. I don't think I'm going to have a hot take almost regardless. No. I'll have thoughts about what it ends up being, but as long as you get one, I think it's probably going to be considered a win.
Yeah, and the money, as we said, will be good. Like that, I don't want to say it's needed, but it is most likely needed to further push this NIL, this crazy era forward. You have to have the backing that these other big schools have. Like look at what Walmart's done for Arkansas. How much money that in Tyson Foods, like that Tyson is what got Calipari to Arkansas. Literally, like Calipari is friends with the people that own the Tyson food and they are paying his salary almost. Like that is the new era of college sports is to do this.
That's hard to do because you have to have that pre-existing relationship.
Yes.
Calipari talked about the guy that had been trying to get him for years and made a phone call at the right time where Calipari was willing to consider it and talked him into having the meeting and lightning strikes. But because of that pre-existing relationship and the guy with the deep pockets who wanted to directly influence, it's like the Cody Campbell at Texas Tech. It's like honestly, Mark Cuban at Indiana to be able to really like level them up in the way that they're doing NIL. You don't have that fairy godmother. It's hard to really compete with those who do. So this is a big task for the athletic department to schmooze to get what they need out of this thing. But I think it's in general a good idea as long as they handle the memorial aspect of this with delicately, which I imagine they will. I don't think there's any controversy here, and I'm glad that they announced it. And frankly, then you expand that further. There's no reason that Mizzou Arena should be called Mizzou Arena. Like, slap a name on that as well and get some money rolling in. And this is kind of where it comes from with Drinkwitz talking about the corporate sponsorships. I mean, you got to get them, and this is an easy kind of slam dunk way to do it if you approach it correctly.
Mizzou Arena being named Mizzou Arena has always been very, very puzzling. Like, why not? Even if it's a little deal, there should be a name. It wasn't
originally Mizzou Arena, though.
What was it originally?
You don't know this?
I don't think I do.
The original name of it was Page Arena.
Oh, okay.
But do you know why?
No.
Page Sports Arena was the name, and it's related to the Walmart circle because Paige Laurie, or I guess her name Elizabeth Page Laurie, her parents renamed the arena, and obviously a donation. So basically, the Lauries named it after the daughter, who then I think was caught like cheating at Mizzou or cheating at, I don't even know if she went to Mizzou. I think she was maybe at a different school out west. Yeah, she was at USC and got caught in like a cheating scandal, and so they're like, we're not going to name it after her anymore.
I did not know that lore.
Page Arena it used to be. They
named there
it
you
after
go.
Just a girl, a daughter. That was like the middle name, Page, and it just for whatever reason, money talks, right? So that was like their foray into naming rights. Maybe it's a reason that they took so long to do it again,
to get one. Yeah,
for
the
so good the first time. But that, again, don't name it after a person. Name it after a company, and as long as it's not Enron, you might be okay.
I wanted to bring up a couple schools in and around Missouri. They're two rivals. I was watching the Kansas-Arizona game that Kansas upset Arizona, and I had a little coin in Sumi on the Kansas Jayhawks.
Kansas? Wow.
And they won. They covered the spread. And it was fun to be on the good side of Fog Island because some of the calls that the Jayhawks received in that game were ludicrous. I mean, I'm talking Arizona wasn't even touching a Kansas player, and they would be called for a shooting foul. It was fun to be on the receiving side. And then the Illini, after trouncing Northwestern, everyone thinking maybe they're the best team in the country or one of, they've fallen twice in a row, both in overtime. Yesterday to Wisconsin, before that to Michigan State. So maybe Illinois and St. Louis isn't looking as much of a lock as it was once originally.
Well, I mean, I don't know why that would change necessarily. The seeding is not determined on where these locations are. They could be a 3 seed or a 4 seed and be playing in St. Louis.
Yes, but there could be teams ahead of them that are close, that move ahead, that then their choice will be St. Louis.
I just don't know that there are a lot of teams that are going to be in that boat, maybe. I don't know.
Let's look at this bracketology because I think it's an interesting conversation. The 1 seeds right now, they have it as Michigan, Arizona, Duke, and Houston. I don't think any of those teams would want it. Yeah, I mean,
Houston might.
Kansas might at the 2 seed.
Kansas would certainly, if that's kind of like a, I don't know what other, if there's like a Wichita or if there's any other ones that are better for them.
I think there might be one in Omaha.
Yeah, that would probably be their preference then.
Yeah. But it's an interesting conversation. The Illinois slew Mizzou dream.
Houston has the regional, and I don't know if that's a first weekend date. Because you can't look at the regional dates. You got to look at
the first weekend dates.
Preliminary round 6, they call it. Buffalo, Greenville, OKC. That could maybe be applicable for either of those teams. Houston does have one, and it's on the campus of Rice, or hosted by Rice University. So I think that Houston could.
They'd be good to go. Yeah.
Where do the Houston Cougars play their games?
They don't play at Rice. They play up. They have their own stadium.
They have their own thing.
Yeah, their own arena.
The Toyota Center, I think, is a bigger venue. Isn't that probably where the Rockets play?
Yeah, I believe so.
But that's still not. I think the Cougars would be eligible to play there. Is the point? Chicago has one. So the Midwestern E1s are Chicago, Houston, St. Louis, and OKC.
Okay, so Kansas could, in theory, be interested.
By the way, this will be the ultimate decision maker. Illinois is a Chicago school more than it's a St. Louis school. So
yeah,
why wouldn't they pick Chicago if they got their druthers?
I don't know.
Interesting.
The way that they come to Enterprise for that Missouri game, I think that they still would be more interested in St. Louis than Chicago. I also think right now Michigan probably will get Chicago, assuming they're maybe the number one overall seed.
More than one highly seeded team can, because there's 4 games and 2 separated pods
That's true.
Played on those. So
it'll be an interesting conversation.
I just hope Illinois goes to Chicago just to prove once and for all that that's what they are. St. Louis.
They're not St. Louis. They're Chicago. I think they would have a very good attendance either way.
I agree with that.
All right, tonight Missouri takes on the Texas A&M Aggies in a very, very important game for their March Madness hopes. He's Brendan Schaefer. I'm Grant Saltzman. You can tune in tonight on STL Sports Central for the post-game show. I'll be there. Kareem Rush will be there, and Chris Pelican will as well. That's on the STL Sports Central YouTube page. Up next, it is Charlie Tuna and the Posse.
After a long day, nothing beats kicking back in a brand new hot tub from St. Louis Hot Tub Warehouse. These guys are the real deal.